has 24 years of teaching experience, which includes 19 years of research experience too. He has acted as a resource person for more than 80 international and national conferences and for more than 120 webinars. He has been awarded with Shiksha Ratna Purashkar Lifetime Achievement Award, Lead Outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award, Distinguished Honor Award, Best Citizen of India, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan Award, Thiruvalluvar Ilakya Award, Swami Vivekananda Award. His academic achievements are so impressive, and that's why he is here with us today. Next, my welcome goes to our head Department of Commerce, Dr. G. Nyandraj, and the bursar of the college, and the participants from other colleges and universities. I am sure that you will all be enriched with knowledge after the completion of this event. I am also delighted to welcome the research scholars and PG students from our own college to attend this workshop to enhance their research skills. I also welcome our department staff members who showed their interest to attend this workshop. And I also thank the criterion in charges who made this workshop possible with their opinions and views. I welcome you all once again. Thank you.
I hand over the session to the research person. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Most respected principal of Bishop Weber College, respected head of the department, faculty members of the Department of Commerce, and all the participants, a warm and pleasant afternoon to one and all. At the very outset, I would like to thank the management, principal, and the faculty members of the Department of Commerce for having given me a wonderful opportunity to be the resource person for the two-day workshop on research methodology and data analysis using SPSS. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to act as the resource person for both the days. Today, we are going to discuss about the introduction of SPSS, and parametric and non-parametric tests. Usually, the statistical software packages. Hello?
Sir, yes, sir.
Sir,
Sir, you
am
are
I
audible,
audible?
sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. You can carry on.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The software packages are used to analyze the data. Earlier, there were no softwares. We had to compute everything manually. But nowadays, due to advanced technology, many softwares are available, and particularly this SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Sciences, is widely used by many statisticians as well as the research scholars in social sciences. It is very user friendly and it has a graphical user interface so that we can easily analyze the data. The only thing is we should understand how to feed the data, how to input the data, then how to select the appropriate statistical tool for analyzing a particular data. So appropriate statistical tool is the important one. Like in the case of a water glass, that water glass is used to store the water basically, but it is used to drink the water. Then water bottle or water can is there. It is used to carry the water. The main purpose is to store the water, but it is used to carry the water from one place to another. Then a water pot or vessel is used. It is also used to store the data, store the water, but the volume of water to be stored is something greater than the water glass or water bottle. Then a water tank is there. It is constructed at the top of our home. It is also used to store the water. So I have let you know about 4 containers of water: water glass, water bottle, water pot, and water tank. The uniformity among all these containers is the same. That is the storage of water. But you know, even though all are used to store the water, we cannot use the water can or water pot to drink the water as it is. We have to pour the water into the glass and then only we can drink the water. Similarly, the volume is different. The water containing volume is different. In the case of glass, it is about 100 milli or 150 milli. In water can, 1 liter, half liter, even 2 liters like that. But in water pot, 5 liters or 10 liters like that. In water tank, hundreds of liters or thousands of liters can be stored. Similarly, the purpose of every statistical tool is to analyze the data. But the appropriateness is important. For this purpose, this tool is the right tool. For that purpose, that tool is the right tool. We have to understand clearly why this particular tool is used or why that particular tool is used. See, statistical package is like a mixie or a grinder. Whatever we put inside the water, the mixie or grinder, a process is made. A grinding process is made and some output is given. Likewise, even though we commit mistake in selecting the appropriate statistical tool, the statistical package gives some output. But understand that output will not be meaningful. So, in order to get meaningful results, in order to interpret the results in a right manner, we should understand which statistical tool is appropriate. Based on that only, we have to select the appropriate statistical tool. Right. Now, basically, the statistical tools can be classified into 2. That is parametric test and non-parametric test. What is a parametric test? This test is used to analyze the data with the help of any parameter. Parametric test means a test where a parameter is used. Non-parametric test is a test where no parameter is used. Very simple definition. Don't need for any confusion. It's a clear conclusion, no need for confusion. That is, for parametric tests, parameters are used. Non-parametric tests, no parameters are used. So obviously our question will be, sir, what is a parameter? Yes. In statistics, we know certain measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. In the case of measures of central tendency, arithmetic mean, median, mode, geometric mean, harmonic mean, and all. They are called measures of central tendency. In the case of measures of dispersion, mean deviation, quartile deviation, standard deviation, skewness, and kurtosis. These are called measures of dispersion. These measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion, they are called parameters. While applying any statistical tool or applying any test of hypothesis, if we use these parameters, any of these parameters, we can call it as parametric tests. If none of these parameters is used, then we call it as non-parametric tests. Mainly, mean is used as a parameter. Standard deviation is also used. Then variance is used. I have not told you about variance. Variance is nothing but the square value of the standard deviation. So obviously, square root of variance will be standard deviation. So mean is used and variance or standard deviation is used. If the variance is used, we call it as analysis of variance, that is ANOVA. Then mean is used, parameter, that is proportion is also used, that is called parametric test. That's all. Now, in the SPSS, you know, it is a statistical package, very simple and easy to use because it is user friendly. Once you learn how to enter the data, then how to select the tool, it is very simple. It is very time saving. Within fractions of seconds, you can get the results. For that purpose only, SPSS is widely used by many researchers, research scholars, and statisticians. Right. Now, let me show the data set. I think all of you might have received the data set. It has been shared in the group, WhatsApp group. Just download the data in your laptop or computer. If you have installed the SPSS, you can use, you can open the data. And one more Word document is given. It contains 13 problems. The parametric test and non-parametric test problems are given. 13 problems are there for today's session. For tomorrow's session, I will share you the second data set and the problem set tomorrow. Okay. Today we are going to discuss about these 13 tests and how to apply the test, what would be the results. For the purpose of time saving, I have given the data set as well as the problems. Now let me share the, let me present the screen. See, this is the SPSS file, and this is the problem I have shared with you. Now let me start with this. I think you know pretty well how to enter the data in the SPSS file. If you open the SPSS file, you'll be having two views. One is data view and another is variable view. In this variable view, we have to start with, there are several columns given at the top. First one name column, second one type, third one width, fourth one decimal, fifth one label, sixth one values, then missing columns, align, measure, and roll. You see, first column is meant for defining the name of the variable. Then second one is type of data. We are using numeric data. Then third one is with number of digits, decimal, number of digits after decimal, then label. The label and name column are meant for same, but one thing in the case of name column, we are giving the name of the variable in short form only because the software does not accept the certain characters in the name of the variable. So here you cannot use space in between two words. So I have used the underscore, and the same name cannot be used for two variables. So these are the two syntax we have to understand regarding the name column. Whereas in the case of label column, whatever name you want to give for the particular variable, the same can be fully given in the label column. Then in the case of values, if the data or the variable is a scale data, see the data can be divided into three basically. Number one, nominal. Number two, ordinal. And number three, scale. Right. In the case of nominal data, it is a categorical data. That is, the variable, the particular variable is divided into groups. Is divided into groups. For example, the gender is there. The gender is divided into male and female, right? So male and female. See, these are just categorical. Male is a category. Female is a category. It contains no value, no quantitative value. So we call it as nominal data. Whereas in the case of ordinal data, in the case of nominal data, you know, I have given one for male, two for female, like that. So it's just to identify that one is meant, because the SPSS accepts only the numeric data. So we have given one for male and two for female. It can be changed. One for female, two for male. No issues. So we call it as nominal. Whereas in the case of ordinal, it's also like this. It is also categorical data, but the thing is, it should be given in a particular order. Say, for example, in the Likert scale, we are using highly satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, and highly dissatisfied, or strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. This order cannot be replaced or interchanged, like strongly disagree, strongly agree, neutral, disagree. Like this, order cannot be changed. So we call it as ordinal data. And even in the case of age group or income group, in the case of age group, we are mentioning, suppose we are collecting the data like up to 20 years, 20 to 40 years, 40 to 60 years, and above 60 years. This is also in an order. Whether it is in an ascending order or in a descending order, there is an order followed. So number one, like age group or income group, we are giving the choices in an order. Then, as I told you, in the case of Likert scale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are giving strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. That is also ordinal. Then ranking problems, first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank, sixth rank, like that. If you are giving rank, it is also ordinal. But what is scale? In the case of scale data, value is given. See, like in the case of age, suppose if we are collecting the actual age, that is abstract age is collected. How old are you? Your questionnaire contains a question like, how old are you? So he is writing 23, 45, 56, like that. It is a scale data. It contains a value. So it is a scale data. Suppose if you are giving age group, like up to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, say above 60, it is a age group. It is an ordinal data. See the difference? Okay. So scale data, nominal data, and ordinal data. So in the case of scale data, there is no need for giving values to the labels, because no categorization is made. So 20, 40, 60, 89, 34, 56, like that only, the values are given. So since it contains values already, we are not assigning value to any labels. Whereas in the case of categorical variables, categorical data, that is, for example, gender. In case of gender, we have to assign, see, 1 for male and 2 for female, like that. Or sometimes in the case of, delivery, food delivery service providers, number 1 Swiggy, number 2 Uber Foods, and number 2 Zomato. We can change the order. That is not a problem. So here you have to mention the values. Then finally, the missing column, then columns, right align, it is in default. Then role input, it is default. So we have to consider this column. So we have to mention whether it is scale data, ordinal data, or nominal data. That's all. So if you put the cursor here, you can select whether it is scale, ordinal, or nominal. Basically, you have to understand whether it is a scale data, nominal data, or ordinal data. If the actual values are collected, it is said to be scale data. If it is categorized, if the variable is categorized like male, female, or married, unmarried, like that, we can say that it is categorical variable. If no order is followed, it is nominal. If an order is followed, it is ordinal. That's all. Right? So these are the basics you want to know about the SPSS software. Then you come to the data view. Whatever variable you have defined in the variable view will be appearing on the heading of the columns. On the top of the columns, you will be seeing. Then you can enter the data. First respondent, second respondent, third respondent, fourth respondent, like that. So here, the column headings are known as variables. Column headings are known as variables. Then here, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, these are all called items. These are all called, or cases. These are all called cases. Okay. Case 1, case 2, case 3, like that. Okay. Now, let me go to the problem. See, I told you, no, basically we can divide the test of hypothesis into 2, parametric and non-parametric tests. In the parametric test, we have only 2 categories. Okay. It is easy to understand. Only 2 types. One is t-test, another is ANOVA. T-test and ANOVA. In the case of t-test, as I told you, we are using the mean. We are using the mean for comparison. For comparison, we are using mean. In the case of ANOVA, we are using variance because the name itself implies that it is analysis of variance. So we use variance in the ANOVA. That's all. Now come to the t-test. We might have studied in the statistics in UG level. We might have studied that t-test is used to be used for small sample, that is sample size less than 30, and for large sample, that is sample size greater than or equal to 30, we have to use z-test, like that we would have studied. But in the software, we are using the t-test alone for both the small sample as well as the large sample, because here we are computing the results using the statistical package. This interprets, that is, the results are given based on the based on certain measures, right? See, if you look at the table, after arriving at the results, we earlier, in the case of manual analysis, we would have compared the computed value with the table value in order to arrive at the conclusion, in order to draw the conclusion. But nowadays, you know, with the help of software, we are able to get the probability value. We are able to get the probability value. So with the help of p-value itself, we are able to interpret the results and we are able to draw the conclusion. So after a particular degrees of freedom, if you look at the table, the t value or z value or some f value become saturated. So it becomes constant after a particular stage. So we are using the t-test instead of z-test for even large size samples. And moreover, the parametric test can be used. Understand? Parametric test can be used only when the data is normally distributed. Only when the data is normally distributed. So since the data is normally distributed, nothing is wrong in using t-test instead of z-test. That's all. Then if the data is normally distributed or not normally distributed, we can apply non-parametric test. Some of the scholars may have a doubt. Sir, if whether the non-parametric test should be used only when the data is not normally distributed. It is not like that, my dear friends. Parametric test alone should be used only when the data is normally distributed. If the data is normally or not normally distributed, we can use the the non-parametric test. Okay, so that is the main thing you want to understand. So difference between parametric test and non-parametric test. Number one, I told you the difference between parametric and non-parametric. In the case of parametric test, parameters are used. In the case of non-parametric test, parameters are not used. The second difference, parametric test can be used only when the data is normally distributed. Then in the case of non-parametric test, it is immaterial whether the data is distributed normally or not normally. That's all. So there is nothing wrong in using t-test for even large samples. So basically we divide the parametric test into two types, that is t-test and ANOVA. Right. Now, in the case of t-test, there are three types of t-test. Number one sample t-test, independent samples t-test, and paired samples t-test. What do you mean by one sample t-test? In the case of one sample t-test, the entire samples we have collected is not categorized. Is not categorized. It is taken together. All the samples are considered as a single group. They are not divided into groups. In that case, we have to apply one sample t-test. And what is compared with the sample data? In this case, if the sample mean, I told you, in the case of t-test, we are comparing the means. In the case of one sample t-test, the sample mean is compared with the population mean. So if the situation is to compare the sample mean with the population mean, then we have to apply one sample t-test. So understand, in this case, you should be knowing the population mean. Otherwise, it is meaningless to apply one sample t-test. But some of them are using, without knowing the population mean, they are using. See here, in this case, due to pandemic situation, a standard operating procedure is given by the government to wash the hands frequently. One company, software company, has instructed the staff members to wash the hands at least once in an hour. Okay. The number of hours, working hours in a month is 150 hours. Number of working hours is 150 hours. The company has announced an award for the department who has followed the standard operating procedures properly. Right. The records of hand was made by the software developers. So it's a department in the software company. It's a department that is software developers. See, project leaders are there, team members are there, some different departments are there. This particular department is meant for software developers. The software developers claim that they are to be given the award. They are to be given the award. The reason is that they have washed the hands more than the standard number of times. What is the standard number of times? See, once in an hour, they have to wash their hands. What is the normal working hours? 150 hours in a month. So once in an hour means 150 times they have to wash their hands. So that is the population mean. That is the population mean. Now we have to compare this with the sample mean. That's all. So before analyzing, what we have to do is, once we enter the data, we have to frame the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. It is very simple to formulate the hypothesis. We are comparing two items now. One is sample mean and the other is population mean. So sample mean is compared with the population mean. So there is no difference. There is no difference between the population mean and sample means. That is, population mean is equal to sample mean. Population mean is equal to sample mean. That is what null hypothesis. So here see, average number of hand wash made by software developers and standard number of hand wash stipulated. That is the population mean. So we say that there is no significant difference. In the case of alternative hypothesis, just one word is replaced from the null hypothesis. Instead of no, we are putting A. So there is a significant difference. In this way only, we have to write the hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Now, let us go to the analytical point of view. See, this is the data. This is the menu bar on the top of the sheet. You can see the menu bar. First, file, edit, view, data, transform, analyze. So the sixth menu, number 1, file, number 2, edit, number 3, view, number 4, data, number 5, transform, and number 6. Sixth menu is the analyze. That is the only gateway for all the tests. You have to go to this particular menu only. Now I click it. Right? I click. For parametric tests, go to compare means. We are comparing the means. Look at this. A submenu appears. In this window, we are having 5 options. Means, one sample t-test, independent sample t-test, paired sample t-test, and one-way ANOVA. So better you can understand that for all these 5 tests, the only gateway is analyze, compare means. That's all. Now we are going for one sample t-test. One sample t-test. Just click it. A window appears like this. See on the left hand side, all the variables in the data are given. From this, now which one is to be tested now? This is the canvas is the variable to be tested. So you can bring it to the right hand side box. This box is meant for test variable. It can be brought in 2 ways. Either you select it and drag it, or you can use this right arrow. Yes, it is brought. Okay. And one more important thing here, in the test value box, 0 is given in default. Here only you have to enter the population mean. Otherwise it is wrong at all, please understand. Many scholars commit this mistake. By oversight, they are not giving the population mean here. It is not at all correct. So you enter the population mean. What is the population mean? Stipulated number of times the hands are to be washed. That is the population mean. So after that, just click OK. See what we have got the results. I have brought it to this Word document. Look at the results. First table, it contains the descriptive statistics, that is number, mean, standard deviation, and standard error. In the second table, see actually in the output, look at this. This is the one sample t-test. The t-test results are given. The same here, the same is brought here. Look at this. This is the computed value of t. Then degrees of freedom. This significant value for two-tailed, that is the p value or probability value. Then this is mean difference, then lower confidence level, upper confidence level. That and all we are not going to discuss here because the main thing is probability value. That is what the criteria to write the interpretation. And look at this test value is 150. That is what the population mean. Okay. So this is the sample mean, 166.84. This is the population mean, 150. This mean difference is the difference between population mean and the sample mean. Look at here, it is positive. That is sample mean is greater than the population mean. Sample mean is greater than the population mean. That's all. Now look at the p-value. P-value is 0.019. It is less than 0.05. I told you, no, if it is less than 0.05, there is lesser possibility for accepting the null hypothesis. Because level of significant level is 5%. Normally, we take 5% level of significance. And if the p-value is less than 0.05, there is lesser possibility of accepting the null hypothesis. If the possibility is less, then automatically it should be rejected. So if the p-value is less than 0.05, reject the null hypothesis, accept the alternative hypothesis. What is the alternative hypothesis? There is a significant difference. And look at the mean difference. It is positive. It is positive. So the software developers have done better than the population average. So obviously their claim is correct. They should be awarded. Their claim should be acceptable for award. That's all. This is what one sample t-test. So in the case of one sample t-test, the entire sample is considered as a single group. No groups are divided. Only one group is made, and a common criteria is there. Population mean should be known. Suppose in the case of I told you, no, many scholars commit the mistake that the population mean is not entered in the test value box. In that case here, it will be like 0. It will be like 0. Suppose if this value is 146 instead of 184, instead of 146, instead of 166, if it is 146, it will show a positive value. It is show a positive mean difference, but it is wrong because since the population mean is 150 and the average population, sample mean is 146, the performance is lesser than the population mean. So we can understand, even though it is significant, the performance is poor than the population mean. So in order to decide that, we have to understand the test value is equal to the population mean. It must be entered in the test value box. Otherwise, your interpretation will be different or wrong. That's all. Then the second one, independent sample t-test. In the case of independent sample t-test, look at the problem. This is also one of the cases relating to pandemic period. The Bishop Heber College has asked the staff members to attend the webinars. See, that is also one of the word we have heard after the pandemic, is it not? After the COVID-19, we have heard the word webinars. Earlier it was seminars. Now we know webinars. During the past 2 years, several webinars are there. Mr. Weaver College has asked the staff members to attend the webinars. And during the last 2 years, the 30 staff members have attended several webinars. First one 225, second one 300, third one 175, fourth one 125, fifth one 250, sixth one 175, like that. The data relating to staff members of Mr. Weaver College are given. That is number of webinars. Then one more variable is given. Look at this, gender. Gender is divided into two groups only. Gender is divided into two groups only. If it is considered as a single group or two groups, then only we can apply t-test. Understand? If a variable, that is, if an independent variable, understand? If an independent variable is considered as a single group or divided into two groups, then we can apply t-test. If it is divided into more than two groups, then we have to apply ANOVA. That is the difference where we have to apply t-test and where we have to apply ANOVA. That's all. So in the case of independent sample t-test, there may be or there must be two groups of independent variable. Here dependent variable is number of webinars attended, because the question is whether there is a difference between, or the question is like, can you conclude that male staff members have attended more webinars than female staff members during the COVID-19 pandemic period? Why? You know pretty well, our sisters are very pity because they have to attend the online classes, they have to attend the domestic affairs, and that too, the male members of the family will be asking to cook this food and that food, or specify a particular food. The children are asking particular food, they have to concentrate on that. In spite of that, attending the webinar is a difficult one for the female staff members. But as far as the female staff members like us, we are just simply sitting at home. We are attending as many as webinars as possible. That is what now asked. Can you conclude whether the male staff members have attended more webinars than the female staff members? So now we are comparing two groups of a variable. Understand? Two groups of a variable. Gender is an independent variable that is divided into two groups. Now these two groups are compared, male and female. In this case, we have to apply independent samples t-test. Okay. And one thing you can understand, you have to understand, they need not be equal in numbers. Male and female need not be equal. Okay. Right. Now, the hypothesis. As usual, there is no significant difference between number of webinars attended by male and female staff members. Yes. Then go to the analytical part. Same gateway, analyze, compare means, independent sample t-test. Now the window appears like this. What is the testing variable? The dependent variable, number of webinars attended. What is the grouping variable? Gender. We have brought it. Then we have to define the groups. One for group 1 and 2 for group 2. Because there are only two groups. We have assigned one for male, two for female, like that. So continue. Then click OK. These are the results. Look at this. Male 18, female 12. I told you, these need not be equal. These numbers need not be equal. Then look at the mean number of webinars attended by male 250, female 175. 75 webinars difference is there. Okay. Then come to the t-test results. There are two rows. One is the equal variances are assumed Then the second one is equal variances are not assumed. Okay, we have to take this one because look at the standard deviation 65 for male and 36 for female. What do you know about the variance? Variance is the square of standard deviation. Here, variance are assumed means, I mean, equal variances assumed means variances must be equal. If variances are to be equal, standard deviations are to be equal. Since this is not equal, we have to take the second one, leave the first one. Second one is the required result. And the result is again also divided into two parts. One is test of equality of variances, that is Leven's test. And another is test of equality of means. I told you, no, in the case of t-test, we are comparing the means only and not the variances. Since here the variances are not assumed equal, no result is given here, right? So we take this one only. Look at the results I have given, right? The p-value 0.000. Since it is less than 0.01, we have taken the significant level as 5%, but it is even less than 0.01. So it is it is significant. There is a significant difference between the webinars attended by male and female staff members. But the question is whether the male staff members attended more than the female. Yes. Look at this. The mean value 250 and female 174. Male 250, female 174. Obviously, male webinars is greater than the female webinars. So the conclusion, yes, male staff members have attended more webinars than the female staff members during the COVID-19 pandemic period. That's all. This is about the independent sample t-test. Then yet another table, the t-test is there, that is called a paired sample t-test. Here also only one group. The entire sample respondents are considered as a single group. But the difference is data is collected for two different periods. That is, see, look at this. In this case, before lockdown and after lockdown. For the same family, or the same respondents, two different periods of time. What was your average income before lockdown and what is your average income after lockdown? That kind of data is collected. So see the difference. In the case of one sample t-test, we compared the sample mean and population mean. In the case of independent sample t-test, we compared the sample 1 mean with the sample 2 mean. But in this case, sample period 1 mean and sample period 2 mean. That's all. Right? What is the question? Examine whether income has been affected due to lockdown. So let us compare. How to compare? Before that, write the hypothesis. There is no significant difference between the average income earned before and after lockdown. Null hypothesis. Then go to the analysis. Analyze, compare means, then paired samples t-test. See, what are the variables? Income before lockdown. Okay. Then income after lockdown, it is automatically paired like this. Pair 1, pair 2. In the pair 1, two variables. Income before lockdown, income after lockdown. That's all. Just click OK. Just click OK. Look at the results. Now come to the see. Descriptive. Before lockdown, income 1,617.6. After lockdown, 1,632.6. The difference is very simple, right? The difference is very little. Now look at this. This is the paired sample t-test result. See the paired differences, mean difference 15. That is 1,617, 1,632. So difference is 15. Then standard deviation, standard error. Look at the final result, p-value 0.76. 0.76 is greater than 0.05. 0.76 is greater than 0.05. So there is no significant difference. Since the p-value is greater than 0.05, we will go with the null hypothesis. What is null hypothesis? There is no significant difference. So here you can understand that the lockdown has not affected the average income of this particular families. That's all. So this is what about the paired samples t-test. We have so far discussed about the 3 tests. That is t-test. T-test number 1, t-test 2, t-test 3. First one sample t-test. Second one independent sample t-test. Third one paired sample t-test. You have you have to understand that where we have to apply one sample, where we have to apply independent samples t-test, and where we have to apply the paired samples t-test. Okay. In the case of independent sample t-test, we saw that the gender is the independent variable that is divided into 2 groups, male and female. In case where the independent variable is divided into more than 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, or 5 groups, you can apply ANOVA. You should not apply t-test. You should never interchange the test. Now come to the ANOVA. A problem is given. See, there are 3 food delivery service providers, right? Swiggy, Zomato, and Uber. 3 service providers are there. Their overall satisfaction score has been computed. You see, like we have assigned 5 for highly satisfied, 4 for satisfied, 3 for neutral, 2 for dissatisfied, and 1 for highly dissatisfied, like that. Several items would have been given. Service charges, time taken, quality of the food, like that. Several items have been given in the questionnaire. For each question, the respondent has given the choice, like highly satisfied, satisfied, like that they have given. And we have assigned scores, 5 for highly satisfied, 4 for satisfied, like that. How many statements are there? How many items are there? So for all the items, we have given scores 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So sum up the total scores. That is called overall satisfaction score. So here, in order to save the time, I have given the overall satisfaction score directly. Instead of giving 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, like that, I have given the total score itself. So the total score is a value. Total score is a value. It is a scale data. Previously also, in all the 3 cases, it was a scale data. See, it is a value, rupee is given. In this, a number of webinars attended. It is a count. It is also a count. Number of hand washes is also a count. So these are all scale data. So only we are applying the parametric test. Now come to the ANOVA. See here, this is the independent variable. Puts a delivery service provider is the independent variable. It is divided into 3 groups. So more than 2 groups means we have to go for one-way ANOVA. We have to go for one-way ANOVA. What is the difference between one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA? In the case of one-way, there is only one independent variable, irrespective of the dependent variable. See, in the case of ANOVA, we are using only one dependent variable. That is different. But in the case of independent variable, for one-way ANOVA, there is only one independent variable, right? So in this case, we have to apply one-way ANOVA. This is what the hypothesis. There is no significant variation, right? Now come to the data. Analyze. Again, compare means go to one-way ANOVA. Now the box is meant for dependent. What is the different dependent? Overall satisfaction. Then look at here, it is considered as factor. It is considered as factor. What is the factor? Food delivery service provider is the factor. Okay. Then, okay. Look at this. This is the result. So between groups, I mean the source of variation between groups, degrees of freedom, mean square, F value, P value, and the result. Look at the P value, it is 0.093. It is greater than 0.05. So null hypothesis is accepted. There is no significant variation in the level of satisfaction of the customers of 3 food delivery service providers in Trichy. There is no significant difference in the satisfaction made by Swiggy, Zomato, and Uber. The customers of all the 3 food delivery service providers are same. No greater difference. That means all are providing similar services. In this situation only, as a marketing manager, you should decide that since no greater difference between the satisfaction of different service providers, if you are a marketing manager of a particular service provider, you can decide that some more value added services are to be provided to make our customers more satisfied so that we can get more customer base, more market share, so that we can withstand in the market. We can win the competitors. So these are all strategies. These are all suggestions to be offered from the observations, from the findings. Okay. So then 2A. See, this is a case of John Electronics. They are selling electronic products, electronic goods through dealers and distributors. They are appointed in 4 different zones, east, west, north, and south. Annual turnover made by the 30 dealers and distributors are given for a particular year. Question is, examine whether there is a significant difference in the annual turnover according to type of retailer and zone. So this is the dependent variable. Annual turnover is the dependent variable. It is in quantity. It has some value. And what are the factors? Retailer and zone. So these are the independent variables. So how many independent variables are there? There are 2 independent variables. And one is divided into 2. The other is divided into 4. I told you, no, in the case of ANOVA, independent variable must be divided into more than 2 groups. In this case, one independent variable is divided into 2 groups, but another is divided into 4 groups. It is not required that both the independent variables must be divided into more than 3 groups. At least any one is divided into more than 2 groups, it is okay. So here, since there are 2 independent variables, we call it as two-way ANOVA. We call it as two-way ANOVA. Earlier, there was only one independent variable, that is food delivery service provider. Here, they are classified into 2. The retailers are divided into 2. One is based on type and another is based on zone. So hypothesis here, instead of one hypothesis, you will be saying we have to write 2 hypotheses because 2 independent variables are there. But we have to write 3 null hypotheses. That is one for one variable, another for second variable, third one for both the variables interaction. Right? See, if the value of sales, for example, value of sales is different or increased, the sales value may be increased either because of increase in the number of quantities sold. Is it not? Sales value is there, that is increased now. That may be on account of increase in the number of quantities sold. Or increase in the number of, increase in the price. Increase in the price. In that case also, sales value will be increased. Or sometimes both the units and the price would have been increased. That will also result in increase in sales. So here, annual turnover, dependent value, dependent variable. The independent variables are, one is a type of retailer and the other is zone. So the dependent variable may be dependent either on type or on zone or on both. So only we are writing 3 null hypotheses. Now we'll see how to analyze. Here, analyze as it is, but go to general linear model. In the compare means that is over. Now go to general linear model. Select univariate. Select univariate. Okay. In this case, dependent variable. See, the window appears like this. Dependent variable as it is, the annual turnover. Now, the type of retailer and zone are considered as fixed factors. These independent variables are considered as fixed factors. In some cases, we'll be using several factors, and these several factors may be taken as a random factors, and the results will be given by the softwares based on the factors selected by the software itself. In that case, only we have to go for random factors. Here we have taken the fixed factors. That is the retailer and zone. Okay. Now click OK. See, these are the results. See, in the first table, we see number of items, that is frequencies. Dealer 15 dealers, distributor 15 distributors, east zone 8 dealers, west zone 7, north zone 8, south zone 7. That is different, we don't need that, but the ultimate result is this. Look at this, retailer, zone and both. Look at the p-value. In the case of retailer, it is 0.65. It is greater than 0.05, so it is not significant. Null hypothesis is accepted. Then in the case of second one, zone 0.00, it is less than 0.101. So null hypothesis is rejected, alternative hypothesis is accepted. There is a significant difference in the annual turnover according to the zone, not according to the retailer, but according to the zone. What about both? In that case also, p-value is greater than 0.05, that is 0.332. So here also the result is not significant. So we can understand that the annual turnover depends upon the zone. Now, the next thing is, which zone has performed well? That can be decided based on the mean values, not mean square or mean rank. Mean values. For that, we have to perform one more analysis. Go to analyze, then go to compare means. Now select the means. Now what is the dependent variable? Annual turnover. What is the independent zone? Now go to the result. Look at this. Mean and standard deviation. East zone 61, west zone 28, north zone 40, south zone 80. So obviously south zone has done the the best performance, and the least performance is by west zone, because mean value is 28. Like this, we can give further interpretation about the two-way ANOVA. In this case, two independent variables are used. any one of the independent variables is divided into more than two groups, and the dependent variable is a scale data. So far we have discussed about two types of ANOVA, one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA. Analysis of variance. Then the next one is MANOVA. In the case of ANOVA, it is univariate. In the case of ANOVA, it is univariate. In the case of MANOVA, it is multivariate. What is multivariate? Number of dependent variables. Earlier, in the case of ANOVA, I told you there is only one independent variable. In the case of two-way ANOVA, there were two independent variables, but there was only one dependent variable. But now there are two dependent variables. There are two dependent variables. So if the number of dependent variable is more than one, or two or more dependent variables are considered, then it is multivariate analysis. So we call it as MANOVA. See here, two dependent variables, marks in cost accounting, marks in research methodology. Two independent variables are there, gender and specialization. In the case of gender, it is divided into two, boys and girls. Specialization, it is divided into three, that is finance, marketing and HR, like that. So three items are there. So more than two means ANOVA. Two dependent variable means MANOVA. Two dependent variables mean MANOVA. If there is only one dependent variable, it is two-way ANOVA because two independent variables are there. Now we go to the analytical part. Analyze, go to general linear model, select multivariate. Earlier for two-way ANOVA, we selected univariate. Now it is a multivariate analysis, so we select multivariate. This window appears like this. Here, what is the dependent variable? There are two dependent variables, marks in cost accounting and marks in research methodology. What are the fixed factors? Gender and specialization. Now, okay. Look at this. We have got the results. See here. See, in the case of MANOVA, there are four tests. One is Pillai stress test. Second one is Wilks lambda. Third one is Watling stress. And fourth one is Roy's largest root method. So four methods are there. Anyone you can choose. Anyone. Right? Either Pillai stress or Wilks lambda or Watling trace or Roy's largest root. Anyone you can choose. But the software gives you the results for all the four tests. You need not interpret all the four. You can take any one itself. That is enough. Okay. Right. Now look at the significant value. P value 0.000000000. In the case of specialization, we have the P value greater than 0.05. Then in the case of gender versus student specialization, in that case also the P value is greater than 0.05. Now look at the results, final results. See here, intercept is the concept. We compared gender and students, then specialization, then gender, students, specialization. So results are there, 0.000. Gender versus marks in cost accounting. Gender versus marks in cost accounting, it is significant. Gender versus marks in research methodology, also significant. But specialization versus marks in cost accounting, not significant. Specialization versus research methodology, not significant. Both versus cost significant at 5%. Both versus methodology significant at 5%. Look at 3 types of results in the same problem. These 2 are significant at 1%. These 2 are not significant. These 2 are significant at 5%. Any result may come. Okay. So like this, we have to write the interpretation. Then next one is ANCOVA. Only one letter is included in between ANOVA. ANOVA, analysis of variance. Now we insert one letter in between ANOVA. So it is called ANCOVA, analysis of covariance. Analysis of covariance or covariate. Analysis of covariates. Okay. What is covariate? If 2 dependent variables, are correlated, and you can say that even though they are correlated, one may be considered as independent variable. Even though they are correlated, one of them may be considered as an independent variable. Now look at this. Gender is given. It is an independent variable. Specialization, independent variable. University exam, dependent variable. As far as the gender and specialization are concerned, model exam is a dependent variable. Understand? Model exam is a dependent variable. Whereas model exam marks may be an independent variable for university exam. Right? So we call it as covariate. See, is there any significant variance in the university exam scores based on the model exam marks, gender and specialization? Go to the analysis. See here, it is ANCOVA. ANCOVA means only one dependent variable. If you separate these variables, model exam may be considered as dependent variable. I told you, no. In that case, we have to conduct separate ANOVA. Separate ANOVA for this. Separate two-way ANOVA. Gender, specialization and model exam. Separately for university exam. Gender, specialization and university exam. But here, we are considering university exam marks alone as the dependent variable. What about this one? This is considered as covariate. So only one dependent variables. It is ANOVA. It is ANCOVA. It is univariate. So here also analyze general linear model. Again univariate, because ANOVA, A stands for univariate. Then reset. Now you take the dependent variable. What is the dependent variable here? University exam mark. What are the fixed factors? Gender and specialization are fixed factors. What is the covariate? Model exam mark is the covariate. That's all. See the difference. In the ANOVA, only one dependent variable and one independent variable. In the two-way ANOVA, one dependent variable, two independent variables. Right? In the case of MANOVA, two dependent variables, two independent variables. Now in the case of ANCOVA, one dependent variable, two independent variables, one covariate variable. Go to OK. That's all. Now look at the result. See here, again, model exam 0.000. So it has influenced. Model exam has a greater impact on the university exam marks, of course. Then gender of students. The p-value is 0.808. It is greater than 0.05. So null hypothesis is accepted. There is no significant impact of gender on the university exam marks. Then specialization. P-value 0.694. It is greater than 0.05. Null hypothesis accepted. There is no significant influence or significant relationship between specialization and university exam marks. Then together, gender of students and specialization. P-value 0.035, less than 0.05. There is a significant relationship. So the university exam marks is influenced by both gender and specialization together. Individually, they couldn't influence, but together they have influenced. That is what we can understand from ANCOVA. ANCOVA. So the next one is MANCOVA. Eighth problem is MANCOVA. MANCOVA means multivariate. Multivariate means two dependent variables. See here, continuous internal assessment mark is given, university exam mark is given. The other things are same. Gender and specialization, independent variables. Model exam, covariate. CIA and university exam marks, dependent variables. Now go to analyze. So analyze gender linear model, then multivariate, because two dependent variables are there. Reset. What are the two dependent variables? University exam marks and CAA scores. What are the fixed factors? The age and gender and specialization. What is the covariate? Model exam mark is the covariate. Now go to the results. So these are the results. Look at this. Model exam mark has a significant relationship with the university exam score because p-value is 0.000. It is less than 0.01. So there is a significant relationship. Whereas in the case of CAA score, the p-value is 0.937. It is greater than 0.05. There is no significant association between model exam mark and the CAA marks. Then gender. Gender and the university exam score, no significant relationship because p-value is greater than 0.05. In the case of CAA score also, there is no significant relationship because the p-value is 0.949. It is greater than 0.05. Specialization also same result. Together, interaction, gender and specialization interaction. For university exam score, there is a significant association. But for CAA score, there is no significant association. Like that, we have to write the interpretation. So that's all about the MANCOVA. So far, we have discussed about 3 t-tests. One sample t-test, independent samples t-test, then paired samples t-test. Then one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, and MANOVA, ANCOVA, and MANCOVA. And compare means also we have discussed. So these are the several tests available under the category of parametric tests. Then we will move on to the non-parametric tests. In the case of non-parametric tests, I told you normality need not be tested. It is not necessary. Whether it is normally distributed or not normally distributed, there is nothing wrong in applying non-parametric tests. But the main criteria is the dependent variable must be a scale data. Must be a scale data. So far in the cases we have discussed, the dependent variables are scale data. Now look at the next problem. Problem number 9, chi-square test. Look at the variables. Productivity is the dependent variable. Training program is the independent variable. Look at this. I told you, no, in the case of t-test, I told you both need not be equal. Both need not be equal. Both the groups need not be equal. Okay, that is different. Here only one group is there. This group is divided into two categories, like based on training program, attended, not attended. Then based on level of productivity, high, low, medium, like that. See here, level of productivity is the dependent variable, but it is given in nominal data. Or even we can say that it is an ordinal, because low, high, low, medium, high. Low, medium, high, it is in an order. So it can be regarded as ordinal also. But it is not a scale data. 43, 53, 60, 70, 96, not like that. Now, a program was conducted. The company wants to know whether the program was effective in increasing the level of productivity. So hypothesis, there is no significant impact of training on the level of productivity. Now go to the analysis, analyze. Then go to descriptive statistics. Go to compare means, the cross tabs. Go to cross tabs. Select it. Row wise. What is to be taken as row wise? Training program, attended, not attended. So it is taken as row. Level of productivity is taken as column. Then here on the right hand side you can see 5 buttons. Select the second button, statistics. A window appears like this. On the top row there are 2 boxes. One is meant for chi-square. To select it. Then continue. Then click OK. These are the results of chi-square test. See, look at here. This is just a frequency. The chi-square test is applied when only the frequencies are considered. Observed frequencies and expected frequencies are considered. Okay. See here, many scholars have a doubt whether the chi-square test is a parametric test or non-parametric test. In some of the books it is given as a parametric test, sir. Sir, what should I do, sir? No bother. I am telling you clearly, it is a non-parametric test only, because it is based on the frequency only and not based on any parameter. That's all. Now look at the chi-square result. It has different results. You take the first one, that is Pearson's chi-square value. This is the p-value, 0.013. It is less than 0.05. It is less than 0.05. So the null hypothesis is rejected. There is a significant impact. There is a significant impact on the training program. Whether the impact is positive or negative. Whether impact is positive or negative. Look at this. Attended, low productivity 2, medium 7, high 10. So high greater number. Not attended, low 6, medium 4, high only 1. See the difference. Attended, more employees have given higher level of productivity. In the case of not attended, higher number of employees have given low level of productivity. That itself says that the training program is significant or impact or effective. That's all. So in this kind of problems, we have to apply chi-square test. Now, the next one is Mann-Whitney U test. It is something similar to the independent sample state test. It is similar to the independent sample state test. It is also called as non-parametric equivalent to the independent sample state test. Non-parametric equivalent to the independent sample state test. Why? Because here is, look at this, dependent variable and independent variable. Independent variable is divided into two groups only, managerial and technical. But what is the difference between independent sample t-test and Mann-Whitney U-test? Here, the dependent variable is not a scale data, it is an ordinal data. It is given in grades, not values. So grades are given, excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. So instead of giving values, performance scores, if performance scores are given, we should apply independent sample t-test. Since performance grades are given, we have to apply Mann-Whitney U-test. That's all. See hypothesis as usual. Now go to the analysis. Go to analyze, come to the non-parametric test, then go to legacy dialects, then go to two independent samples. Then go to two independent samples. Select. Now testing variable. What is the testing variable? Performance level is the testing variable. What is the grouping variable? Nature of job, managerial or technical. Again, groups. First group, then second group. Continue. Look at this. There are several types of tests available. Mann-Whitney U-test is selected in default. So just click OK. Now come to the results. Look at here. Mann-Whitney score is given. Wilcoxon score is given. Z score is given. But we have to consider the p-value. It is 0.019. It is less than 0.05. So there is a significant difference between the performance of managerial and technical employees. Can you tell me whether the managerial employees are better or technical employees are better? Earlier, we were comparing, sit down. Earlier, we were comparing the mean scores and decided which category had the higher mean score was considered as the better. But here, since mean ranks are compared, the lower rank is considered as the better. Mean ranks. Understand the difference. Comparison of mean scores and mean ranks. See, one boy has got 90 marks, another boy has 97 marks. So who is better? 97 is better. Now we are assigning rank. For 97 we are giving first rank. For 90 we are giving second rank. Now can you tell me who is better? Whether first rank is or second rank is better? First rank is better. In that logic, you can write the interpretation that technical employees have performed better than the managerial employees. So this is a case where we have to apply Mann-Whitney U-test. Then the next one is Kruskal-Wallis test. Kruskal-Wallis test. It is similar to one-way ANOVA. It is similar to one-way ANOVA. Non-parametric equivalent to one-way ANOVA. Here also performance level is given, types of employees. Performance level is the dependent variable, type of employee is independent variable. Independent variable is divided into three. But if the performance level is given in scores, we would have applied one-way ANOVA. In this case, it is given in grades. So ordinal data. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent, very good, good, pair, poor. So we have to apply Kruskal-Wallis test. Earlier, Mann-Whitney U test, independent variable was divided into two categories. Dependent variable was given in ordinal data. Here also it is ordinal, but category is 3. So we have to apply Kruskal-Wallis test. Go to the analysis. Again, same. Analyze, non-parametric test, legacy dialects, then K independent samples. 2 independent means Mann-Whitney test. More than 2 means K. So any number, may it be 4 or 5 or 3 or 10, like that. So we take K independent samples. Now the window appears like this. What is the dependent variable? Performance level. Okay. What is the grouping variable? Type of employees. Earlier it was nature of job, now type of employees. Now look at this. Earlier define groups, now define range because more than 2. So minimum 1. Earlier it was group 1, group 2. Now it is minimum, maximum. So minimum 1, maximum 3 groups are there. So 3. Continue. Kruskal-Wallis selected. Okay. See the results. Right? So p-value 0.911 greater than 0.05. So null hypothesis is accepted. There is no significant difference between the skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled employees. See, these are the mean ranks. Here we need not compare the mean ranks because the result is not significant. So we need not compare. If suppose it is significant, then we have to compare. So the lowest rank will be considered as the best performers. That's all. This is about the Kruskal-Wallis test. It is a non-parametric equivalent to the one-way ANOVA. Then 12th test. Wilcoxon test. Wilcoxon test. Simply by looking at the data, you can say that it is a non-parametric equivalent to the paired sample t-test. Paired sample t-test. Before and after. Is it not? The same respondents. Same set of employees or drivers. Okay. After implementation of FASTag, whether their satisfaction is improved or not. This is what the analysis. So here also, in both the cases, both are the dependent variables only, right? In both the cases, they are given as grades, not scores. If scores were given, we have to apply paired sample t-test. Since these are given as grades or levels, okay, highly satisfied, satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, highly dissatisfied. So different levels are given in both the cases. So we have to apply Wilcoxon test. Go to data, go to analyze. Again, non-parametric test, then legacy dialects. Select 2 related samples. We are comparing only 2 items, pre and post, before and after. So select 2 related samples. So before FASTag and after FASTag. That's all. Wilcoxon selected. Click OK. Now look at the results. CP value is 0.000. That means there is a significant difference. There is a significant difference in the satisfaction of drivers after the implementation of FASTag. That was our question. So in this case, we have applied Wilcoxon test. It is similar to the paired sample t-test. The difference is the data is given in ordinal data. Okay. And finally, we have only one test, that is Fredman test. In this case, see, several digital payment methods are given. The respondents were asked to rank these payments. So several ranks are given, more than 2. So K-related samples. See, banking cards, mobile banking, USSD, UPI, mobile wallets, then bank prepaid cards, point of sale, POS, then AEPS, Aadhaar enabled payment system, then internet banking, then micro ATMs. See, they have ranked these 10 items. Now you are required to test whether there is any significant difference in the ranking of digital payment methods. So for this, we have to apply fragment test. Go to analyze. Same thing. Non-parametric test, legacy dialects, K-related samples. Here, only one test variables are there. So you have to select all the 10. Okay. Then fragment test is selected in default. Then click OK. Yes, we have got the results. Look at the p-value 0.002. It is less than 0.01. So obviously the null hypothesis is rejected and alternative hypothesis is accepted. The conclusion is that there is a significant ranking, significant difference in ranking. Okay. Now look at this. Which one is the best preferred method according to the respondents? So again, as I told you, the lowest mean rank is to be taken. Lowest mean rank is for mobile wallets. So obviously the customers prefer mobile wallets than the other digital payment methods. So that is what the conclusion. So that's all about the parametric and non-parametric tests, and I hope that you might have understood at least something about the parametric and non-parametric tests. With this, I would like to conclude the session with the great sense of gratitude to the management, principal, faculty members, and the organizing team for having given me wonderful opportunity to be the resource person during the 2 days workshop on the research methodology and data analysis. My sincere thanks are due to all the participants for patient listening for the past 2 hours. Okay, if the participants have learned something from this session, the credit goes to my gurus, my teachers, and my well-wishers. So I feel that this program might have given some sort of knowledge to all of you. Once again, I would like to thank the organizers and the participants for the wonderful opportunity. Now the forum is left to the participants for getting any clarification. If you have any doubt, you can ask now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, madam.
Participants, the feedback form is posted there. You can fill up the feedback form. And if you have any queries, you can ask the questions to...
Madam, it is echoed, madam. Hello.
Yeah. Am I audible now? Okay, sir. Echo agada. Sir?
Yes, madam. madam, echo is there again. You can, in that call, if you are using audio system, you can switch off that and
So can you hear me now, sir?
yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes.
One more is Selvin is also unmuted. Selvin, madam, you can mute your mic. Yes, madam. Now you can.
Information to the participants. If you have any queries, you can ask sir right now. You can use the time for asking any queries. If you have any queries, you can clear your doubts with sir. You feel free to even chat. You can put your
Yes.
queries at the box.
If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box also.
Okay, sir. I think they don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you, sir, for all your efforts in imparting us the knowledge on SPSS. It was a
Thank
very
you,
useful one. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, madam. Let us continue tomorrow. Thank you, madam.
So tomorrow, same time by 2 o'clock, we will be joining on platform. Yes,
Okay,
same
ma'am.
link. Same link.
Same link. Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all the participants once again. May I put the forum, madam?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
அவர் மீட் பண்ண அதான் சொன்னேன் சார் மீட் பண்ண ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிருக்கேன் சார்
ரெக்கார்டிங் ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிருக்கேன். ஸ்டாப் பண்ண பிறகு